We are live on Facebook. This is Ella's first live. Woohoo! I am Jess DeBose. I am a relationship coach and author. And today we are going to do a live coaching session with the lovely Ella, who volunteered to do this with me today. So if you or someone else you know would want to do 30 minutes of free coaching, let me know and we will set up something like this. I'm going to be doing this every Tuesday. So now I want you, Ella is going to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I am currently a women's embodiment and empowerment coach, which means that I really help women experience and fall in love with who they are beyond their image and any body image issues they might have. I wasn't always a coach. I led a very different life before this. I worked in Hollywood, I worked in tech, but I always sort of lived with this obsession of my body and my appearance and really believed that that's what I had to offer the world. And through coaching, I was sort of able to really fall in love with who I am. And because it worked so well, I wanted to do the same for other women. So I'm here today because I believe in coaching, and I'm excited to be coached by the one and only Jess.
Beautiful. That's amazing that you want to help women in that way. That's such amazing and needed thing. And how beautiful that we get to show everyone that coaches need coaches. So
Exactly.
Just like Ella's here for coaching, I have coaches as well. Many coaches have their own coaches, and that's the beauty of this industry is we get to continue to grow and continue to grow and continue to grow, and having somebody there to hold up a mirror is really a huge part of the process. So
Sure.
Ella, thank you so much for being here. So what is challenging for you lately?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I've been sort of going through this awakening, if you will, for like 2 years. So building a lot of awareness and spirituality, and sort of protecting my own energy. But lately, I'm back in Turkey with my family. We're all living under one roof. And I'm noticing some triggers because really our family is like, I think it's a tough trigger for me personally because I find the need sometimes to emotionally react, and I'm reacting from a place of my past self and not the woman that I worked so hard to sort of love and become and have this awareness. So I guess something that's been challenging and something that I don't want to give into is sort of those like operating from the ego, right? And reacting to my brother or to my dad from like this old pattern, and instead just being able to just hold space and not be judgmental and just be like, okay, like you're on your journey, everyone's on their own journey. So I'd say like that is a challenge I'm having right now.
Yeah. Do you find particular things that are triggering you?
Yeah, I think it's like when I see the three of them, just because I feel like I've done so much work on myself, I kind of feel detached sometimes because I'm in this sort of, I don't know how to, like Zen state, right? Um, that when I see them sort of arguing, I get frustrated because I'm just like, I don't want conflict, right? Because I'm like, well, the old me, I was a very heated girl. So like always looking for a fight or like argument or just like making like a bitchy comment or whatever. And like, I don't want to go back there. So when I see them sort of arguing over the same old, that family dynamic, I just either want to detach or I'm like, all right, I'm going in, and I'm like, no. So I think it's when old conflicts arise that like I get a little bit triggered.
Mm. And when you get triggered, what happens in your body? What do you experience?
Yeah, I mean, even talking about it, like now, it's like a tightness in my chest. And I feel like almost like this little ego monster is just like, get in there. Like, it's like kind of getting flustered and like a little bit of heat as well. Like I get kind of hot. So I'd say it's definitely like in this chest area, like this kind of, I can feel my body like tightening.
Mm. It's really interesting that you say the chest area, because what I know to be true is that sadness is really held in our chest. So I'm
Mm.
wondering if there's some sadness coming up for you.
I think that's a really good point, because there's maybe a part of me when you say that that almost mourns the old relationship. Like, we identify ourselves through our relationships as well. So when you're so used to reacting from an old sort of an old pattern, right? And now you're like trying to readjust and stay aware and be observing and be observed at the same time. It's like there's this mourning that happens. You're like, well, am I even part of this family if I'm not reacting from that old state, right? And it's almost like maybe some fear around like, how do I learn to reconnect with my father when I've let go of his need of validation, for example? Like that's something I healed, right? So like if he says something about, well, how much are you earning? Right? Like that will trigger me. So it's maybe just like mourning the past, the identifying the past relationship and trying to make it this new relationship.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And
Yeah.
like, it's that integration process. So when we level up, when we grow, like there's a domino effect. And I actually was just talking to a friend of mine earlier this week where she was having the same sort of thing happening. And the image that came to my brain is like, if you think about your growth as like an earthquake, because it shakes up everything in your world. But then when you reintegrate into your family or different friendships or relationships that were accustomed to being one way, the aftershocks happen.
Ooh,
And
yeah. I love that visual. It makes a lot
yeah,
of sense. Yeah.
so it's like, of course, you're creating new boundaries and creating new ways of being. And so the family, especially because they've known you since you were little and they have you pegged as this very specific
Right.
type of person, and all of a sudden you're being different and they're like, what the fuck is happening? Why are you being different? I don't like this. Change is hard. So people are going to react to you, but then also you're going to react as well. And so um,
Yeah.
I wonder, instead of like wanting to avoid or hone in, how you could love the tension and conflict.
Oof. Yeah. It's a good question. I guess I don't know if I could love it, but I think what I've gotten really good at in the past year is getting comfortable with discomfort, right? With myself. But I think it's time to aftershock it. So it's like, okay, what does that look like in my family? What does that look like romantically? Like all those things, right? Because you can do all the work you want on yourself, but if you're not spreading that around you, it's kind of like, you know. So I think maybe it could be like sitting with that tightness and just being like, it will flow through. Like don't react to it, don't squander it. Like it's like those are two extremes, and instead, learn to just be like, okay, well, this is part of my growth. Like honor the growth, and that's self-love to me. It's like not giving into temptation or instant gratification. um so yeah, I think that would be an interesting, difficult but interesting practice, to try in the next time it arises, I guess.
Yeah, and I think even allowing yourself to feel that sadness and that grief, because
Exactly.
the relationships, even though I imagine, I make up the story that you are probably very proud and excited for yourself and the development that you've had, there
Mhm.
is still something special and unique away about how your relationships were, and then all of a sudden that's changing. And just like a breakup or a shift in any type of relationship, there's some grief that comes with that.
Right.
And so actually allowing yourself to grieve and be sad might
Mm,
remove some of that tension you feel in your chest.
yeah, I love that. I think acceptance is such a crucial part of like healing, right? So just being able, instead of like judging my family, like just being like, they're just acting from their own conditioning, like, and maybe instead of trying to change them by accepting them, maybe things will shift when it's time, right? I don't know, maybe by like leading by example instead of force, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just there's something beautiful too about just allowing people to just be and not even having any sort of judgment of like,
What they should,
um,
right.
yeah, there is no should. And just because you had this beautiful awakening experience doesn't mean they want to or have to.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
get to just be how they are without whatever. And it's
No.
really hard to do that when, especially when you're in a space that you're so excited about the growth that you've had and you love your family, you want your family and everybody you love to experience the same thing. And you're like, come on,
Right.
let's do this. And you're like, but then and then they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? No. And you're like, what do you mean? No.
You're
I'm
not
being
coming
exact.
with me.
Right. I know I'm being dramatic on purpose, but like,
No, that's how it feels though. Like that's
mhm,
the ego. That's all it is.
mhm.
And like, I have to keep reminding myself, and this is the journey. It doesn't end, right? It's like you just people change when they're ready to change, and the only thing we have control over is how we react to things. Like, um, so I think learning to embrace the discomfort in the moment and just sit through it, because emotions do pass if we let them. Right. So yeah, I'd like to try that out.
Yeah, and they, not only do they pass, but they can pass quickly if we actually let ourselves feel it. So rather than putting even judgments on your own feelings, like letting
Ooh,
yourself get mad if you are mad, letting yourself be sad if you're sad, letting yourself be
right.
scared if you're scared, whatever's coming up for you is like allowing that too, instead of trying to push it down because I know
Mhm.
better, because I'm conscious and I know how I'm supposed to do this.
I think there's a part of me when you said that the word like scared came to mind, and it's like I think there's a part of me that's like scared of that old girl, like putting like showing her claws, because I was like vicious when I was young. Not in like I wasn't a bad kid or anything. I was just, I had my own reasons. I wasn't happy with myself, right? So there's like two sides. There's like the lovey-dovey, I love myself, and I do. And then there's the part that's like scared that she's gonna come back. And I'm scared of causing a rift in the family because of that, because I'm like, I know better. But I think you're right. It's like, instead of judging that I should know better, just reminding myself I can feel this and not react. I know better not to react, right? It's one thing to let yourself feel, it's another thing to lash out.
Yeah, completely. So
Yeah.
when you are talking about the old Ella or that person, like I was taught through my coaching training that we have, the essence, the core of who we are, and then we have a bunch of personas that we take on, and they have what kind of persona is happening with that old Ella that you're talking about? Who's trying to come
Yeah.
out?
Yeah. That's a good question. Oof. Um, I think it's the persona that's terrified of vulnerability. Um,
Mm.
yeah. And fighting brings out, like, I think the reason I used to react angrily, um, when I was young, the only way I could cry was by fighting. Like, not like fighting, but, arguing. So I think what happens is like I see conflict, I get threatened or like nervous, that like the vulnerability, and then the anger comes out because I guess that part of me is like, well, if we get angry, we can cry and release it, right? So that could be it. It's like this using anger as a means of like blocking the vulnerability, so I don't have to
Yeah.
feel sad.
Yeah. I have
Went on
this
a journey there.
I have this really cool exercise called a persona interview. Would
Ooh,
you be open to it?
yeah, let's bring the beast out. Why don't we?
I have to grab my little card. It's on the other side of my room. But while I'm
Okay,
doing
go
that,
for it.
I can still hear you. What is, think about a name, this persona, give her a name of like the person who is angry. What is her name?
Mm. I think her name is, this is random, Marie.
Marie. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to get like very dramatic and be fully present in Marie. So the words that she would say, the actions she would do, the things she would do with her hands, the tone of her voice, all of that, you're going to come into Marie. And when you're ready, let me know. I'm going to ask Marie some questions.
All right. I'm going to try my best. I'm a little camera shy. Let's go.
Beautiful. Marie, what's the most important thing to you?
The most important thing to me is not looking weak.
Marie, what are you most proud of?
I am most proud of the job I have, and how much money I'm making at my job, and all the cool celebrities and high level people I get to work with on a daily basis.
Excellent. Marie, when did you make your first appearance?
I made my first appearance when I was around 16 years old, 15, 16 years old, right after I stopped horseback riding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Marie, who did you learn your style from?
Two people, my aunt and my father.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Marie, what are you most afraid of?
I'm most afraid of making a mistake or failing than anything.
Marie, what do you most want?
To be validated, accepted.
So come back into Ella.
I know I didn't really go there, but I was there I promise.
Beautiful. So what did you learn about Marie or yourself or anything?
Well, I was automatically just like more tense, and when I get protective, it's like kind of a barrier, right? It's like a just sort of like a more dominant thing. So I was a lot more tense. I also realized that that part of me only really cares about achievement and being, not necessarily being right, but having the last word, right? Or like just can't be seen as like weak, or like not doing enough. It's always do. Like it's not about what I'm feeling, it's about how my life looks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is very empty feeling actually.
Mm.
It's like all bark but no bite. if that makes any sense in this context.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the beautiful thing about personas is we have created them for very different reasons. You mentioned that yours, the first appearance of Marie was when horseback riding stopped. Was there a reason that horseback riding stopped?
Yeah. So when I was young, all I ever wanted to do was become an Olympic horseback rider. That was like my dream. And when I was like 15, I had to sort of get serious either about that or about school and going to college and doing the whole thing everyone else does. And my parents kind of like talked me into the other option, which was, they didn't force me by any means, but they kind of scared me into it a little bit. And my 16-year-old self going to a really good private school with people who are all going to go to amazing colleges was like, well, I guess this is what I should do. And so I think it was in that moment where like I started doing things to make my life look good rather than feel good, right? Because if I went horseback riding, I wouldn't necessarily make a lot of money. I wouldn't be like this big hot shot, whatever, but I'd be fulfilled, you know? So I think after that, it became a lot more about my looks. It became very external. Everything became very external. And I guess part of me was like, created this belief that the world just wasn't safe. And I just had to fight to get where I wanted to go without failing. Like I didn't ever let myself make a mistake or setback. I'd leave a job after a year so I wouldn't have to make a mistake or fail, right? So it's just this constant like achievement thing, like this high.
Yeah. So you onboarded a lot of the things that your parents were saying, but then you created this persona to protect you because you lost your dream. And at 16, I can only imagine not actually knowing how to deal with that. And then
I
all
don't
of a
think I did
sudden,
deal with it. You're right. That's what it was. I don't remember mourning that ever.
yeah, I would invite you to do that. Take some time this week to do that.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. And then because of that, how beautiful that this persona came in to protect you because you didn't know how to deal with your grief. And so, as a way to cope and create something, you're like, okay, I'm going to achieve and I'm going to do really well and all these other things because I can't do what I actually want to do.
Wow. I never thought of it like that. I've done so many, like, so much work on my past and whatever, but like that is such a simple yet deep realization. That's awesome. Because I don't know, then we have to be grateful for those, like how you framed it, right? Because if she didn't exist, I would not be able to serve the people I serve today. Like it's all part of the story.
Exactly.
Which really helps now when I think about she tries to come out to play. It's not so much like shush, you go away, you're not worthy here, you're not welcomed here. Instead, it's like, I see you, I know all you're doing is trying to protect me. I love you, but I don't right now, like I'm just gonna choose not to use you. Like I'm good. Even though it sucks how I'm feeling, I can handle it. And I think that's ultimately the thing under fear is just like the belief that we can't handle it. But we can. Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you think about your essence driving a bus and all of your personas are behind you, Marie tries to take over the driving.
Yeah.
And you're like, thank you, but you did your job. You can sit down. I love
Right.
you. And you're not needed right now. Thank you. And at
Yeah.
some point, she might be needed. But the beautiful thing
100%.
about, yeah, the beautiful thing about being conscious of our different personas is like, then she doesn't get to take over driving the bus without your consent.
Yes. Amen. Yes. 100%.
Yeah. So now when she tries to come out to play, when your family is arguing or whatever, you can take a breath, notice, say, thank you, Marie. I'm going to handle this.
Exactly. No, I love that framing. Um, Definitely gonna journal. I write a lot, so I'm definitely gonna journal on that tomorrow, first thing tomorrow morning.
Yay. Beautiful. Yeah, this is the persona interview is from the Hendricks Institute. That's where I
Oh,
got this little thing, but it's like so powerful and I use it all the time.
I'm definitely gonna try it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So is there anything else coming up for you right now?
No, I mean, I'll tell you what's coming up. It's like I feel very peaceful, and I'm actually weirdly looking forward to the next time that I get to use it.
Yes.
Who the hell wishes for the next fight in the family, right? They're like, all right, I'm ready. Come at me. No, I feel good. I feel at peace and I feel liberated by it. I don't feel like I need to control it, which I think is ultimate suffering. Um, but yeah, that was a really, I love coaching. I love that like aha moment. You're like, there we go. All right, I'm good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for
Like,
being here.
thank you.
You're welcome. So, as we close out, everyone, thank you for tuning in. And like I said at the beginning, if you are interested in doing a session like this, I do this every Tuesday. It is free 30 minutes of coaching. I am just wanting to serve people and show people what coaching is because I tend to have conversations over and over and over again with people who are like, what is coaching? And it's really an experience. And so rather than trying to continue to describe it, I figured I'd start to show it. So thank you again for tuning in. Let me know if you're interested. You can message me on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or email. All of that is available to you. And if there's something that connected you to Ella, feel free to reach out to her. Like she said, she's also a coach. So both of us are open to taking on new clients right now as well. So thank you guys. We love you.
Ah.